One of history's most significant events was the death of Henry VIII, which occurred in the year 1547 in England. Henry Tudor, born on June 28, 1491, rose to power as a monarch at the age of 17. At the time of his ascension, he was considered one of Europe's most handsome and imposing princes. Standing tall with golden red hair, an athletic build, and a regal presence, his beauty was praised by many, including a Venetian ambassador who remarked that his appearance surpassed that of any other Christian prince. But how did this once majestic figure, admired across Europe, meet such a degrading end? The turning point in Henry's life came in January 1536 during a jousting tournament in Greenwich. At the age of 44, he suffered a terrible fall when his horse collapsed beneath him, rendering him unconscious for 2 hours. Though he survived the accident, the injury to his right leg proved disastrous. It refused to heal properly and soon became a festering wound, transforming into an open ulcer that emitted a foul odor. So overpowering it was detectable even before he entered a room. For a king who valued his image, this was a humiliation beyond measure. As the ulcer worsened, Henry's once proud stature began to deteriorate. His weight increased rapidly, and his once narrow waist expanded from 89 centimeters to over 130 centimeters. His weight surpassed 180 kilograms, and his body became so swollen that it was necessary to use a pulley system to move him between royal apartments. In fact, the door frames in his palaces had to be widened to accommodate his growing size. His diet contributed significantly to his decline, consisting of high-calorie meals rich in red meats and minimal vegetables, leading to further physical deterioration. A typical dinner would include multiple types of meat pies, washed down with large quantities of wine and beer. The wound on his leg worsened over time, becoming so severe that the bones were visible beneath the decaying flesh. Physicians applied treatments that were, in hindsight, more harmful than beneficial, including cauterization with hot iron and the use of mixtures containing arsenic and mercury. Additionally, Henry underwent frequent bloodletting, a practice that only served to weaken him further. The stench of his deteriorating body became so intense that his presence could be detected from several rooms away. At 49 years old, Henry married Catherine Howard, a young woman just 19. He viewed this marriage as a return to his youth, but the age difference, coupled with his severe physical decline, made the union a grotesque spectacle. Unable to bear the sight of her ailing husband, Catherine sought solace in the arms of a young courtier. When their affair was discovered, Henry, in his paranoia, ordered the execution of both. His final marriage, to Catherine Parr in 1543, was more a political alliance than a romantic one. Catherine assumed a role more akin to a nurse than a wife, tending to the increasingly deformed and incapacitated king with surprising devotion, given the fates of his previous wives. In his last years, Henry's suffering became unrelenting. Modern experts speculate that he was afflicted with diabetes, severe gout, hypertension, and possibly heart failure. Some have even suggested syphilis, though this diagnosis remains debated among historians. These multiple conditions combined to create an agonizing final chapter for the once mighty monarch. Accounts from that period describe Henry alternating between excruciating pain, during which he would scream and curse, and moments of deep melancholy, when he would remain motionless for hours. The king's mental state also deteriorated along with his physical condition. Once a brilliant statesman, he became consumed by irrational fears and obsessions. His paranoia grew to the point where he executed loyal advisors and close friends on baseless suspicions. Terror ruled the court, as even a misplaced glance or comment could lead to accusations of treason. Henry's obsession with the fear of poisoning became all-consuming. He implemented an elaborate system in which his food was tested for poison by servants before it was allowed to reach his table, and every utensil was meticulously inspected. As his health declined, so did his mental stability. Recurring minor strokes further exacerbated his condition, leading to moments of delirium in which he was reported to murmur the names of his deceased wives. Despite his obviously terminal state, no one at court dared acknowledge the reality of his impending death. English law at the time deemed it treasonous to predict the monarch's death, so the royal physicians and courtiers maintained a facade that recovery was still possible. As the end of Henry's life drew near, his suffering reached unimaginable levels. In the final months of his life, he could barely move, even with assistance. Gangrene had set into his legs, worsening the already unbearable odor that surrounded him. The court became a place of miasma, where courtiers covered their noses with perfume-soaked handkerchiefs in a futile attempt to mask the stench. Despite this, they were forced to endure his presence. During the winter of 1546–47, Henry's health deteriorated rapidly. Recurrent fevers, likely caused by septicemia from the numerous infections in his body, further weakened him. His breathing became labored, and delirium became more frequent. Witnesses reported that during these episodes, Henry often murmured the names of his dead wives, especially Jane Seymour, who had died after giving birth to his only legitimate son, Edward VI. It is said that he also called out the name of Anne Boleyn, whose ghost, some claimed, tormented him in his final days. Finally, on January 28, 1547, at the age of 55, the mighty king exhaled his last breath. His final conscious act was to squeeze the hand of Archbishop Thomas Cranmer when asked if he died in the Christian faith. His body, now a grotesque shell of what it once was, had to be placed in a specially designed coffin due to its immense size. The embalming process was a horrendous task, and contemporary accounts describe the difficulties faced by the royal embalmers. The coffin, inadequately sealed to contain the decomposition gases, leaked fluids while resting in the chapel of Canbury Abbey. Stray dogs, finding the fluid, licked it up from the floor. On February 16, 1547, Henry VIII was finally laid to rest at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, beside his beloved Jane Seymour, the only wife, who had given him a male heir. The king who had defied the Pope, broken from the Roman Catholic Church, and sent two of his wives to their deaths, ended his own life as a mass of putrefied flesh. His legacy, both political and personal, remains a paradox. He is remembered for his monumental role in the history of England and the formation of the Anglican Church, yet his death serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of power and the inevitable decline of the human body. The story of Henry VIII's death, marked by suffering, paranoia, and a grotesque physical decline, offers a powerful moral lesson. It serves as a reminder that no matter how much power or influence a person may possess, they are ultimately bound by the laws of nature. The mighty monarch who reshaped England ended his reign not with the glory befitting a king, but with an ignominious death that was unworthy of his once glorious crown. The death of Henry VIII is not just a historical event, but a symbolic reflection on the limits of human power. His life and death serve as a stark contrast between the idealized image of a ruler and the reality of human fragility. As the king's body deteriorated, so did the myth of his invulnerability. His political legacy continues to shape England, but his personal end highlights the inevitability of mortality, regardless of one's station in life. What do you think about the tragic end of Henry VIII? How do you think it impacted history? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content on historical figures and events. Thank you very much for watching.